I'm actually kind of nervous for this one. This is the first time that I've really given just a straight up value video without all the fluff and humor in it. So I hope you guys appreciate this. This is from inside our school in our social media accelerator class. It is part of a giant course that Colton and I made to show you how to deliver repeatable results on social media. This is how I made over $100,000 this year with literally less than 10,000 followers combined between YouTube and Instagram. So if I can do it with that small an audience, obviously you can too. There is no way you cannot make 10K months if you apply yourself. Then again, most people won't apply themselves. And that is the biggest problem that we are trying to solve here. How to actually apply yourself and give you all the resources that you need to actually succeed on social media and make over $10,000 a month blindly. Removing all bottlenecks, the only thing stopping you from making money now is you. So this is how you build an audience on social media that is rabid, loves your content, and will come back and buy from you. And honestly, it's so easy a caveman can do it. So if you end up failing, it's because you don't put the work in. If you want to put the work in and actually get there, though, we'll see you on the other side. All right, guys, so now that you've got a good idea of why we do content creation, why don't we get into why we get started in this? So what you need to think of when we get into content creation is who do you want to be or represent it as online? So think of different creators that go viral. You have your Togies, your Greg Doucette's, Alex Eubanks, Wes Watson's, and Dad Bod Steve. They all do it in very different ways, but it all works for them because they have a consistent brand. You have Eubank, who's very like professional and like real with his religion and all that. Togi, who's a complete degenerate. He kind of mastered the whole spam posting across numerous accounts to get more virality. And then we have Wes Watson, who's just a piece of shit, basically, online, and basically tells his people that they're all inferior and they need to level the fuck up and pay him in order to learn how to grow. You know, a very different approach there. And then Dad Bod Steve, not as familiar with him, but it looks like he's a little more like positivity based. So what do the brands look like? How do they present topics? Think about that. So we kind of went through that a little bit there, whereas Eubank's very much like self-improvement based and kind of uses his body to sell his programs. Togi is just complete degeneracy. I don't think he has a back-end offer at all, but he's just very good at playing the quote-unquote villain and being able to drum up a lot of attention by doing stupid things. Whereas Wes Watson definitely plays the villain. Like, he doesn't even try to get along with people. He just plays it up as the villain and living the luxurious lifestyle everybody else wants. Whereas Dad Bod Steve is much more a very clean cut Instagram when you look at his page. So you also got to think, what kind of pain points do they attack and what do they share with the audience that they solve these pain points with? So in terms of Wes Watson, he solves that pain point of you being a little bitch, essentially. Not having the money and the physique that you want, but he does it in a very aggressive way. Whereas Alex Eubank also kind of solves the whole money and physique problem, but he does it in a much more constructive way. And his theme on his profile is very much professional photos. So same pain point. They both solve, but they do it in very different ways. Eubank a little more admirable, I would think, than Wes Watson, but both work. So you got to think, when you're going to go build your brand, how are you going to present it? Are you going to be the hero or the villain? That's basically the perfect example of him right there. You got Eubank, who's the hero, the Christian guy that, you know, he used to have the natty aura. He had a little bit of a fall off, but he's still pretty much like peak pedestal, where Wes Watson's the total piece of shit. They both solve the same issue. They both have similar virality. So think about how you want to approach it and if you can deal with the backlash of one end or the other before you choose your brand. Think your target audience and your avatar. This is very, very important, because content that's made for everybody is made for nobody, essentially. So try to find, do you want to serve males or females? Age range, job, salary range. It's much easier to sell to rich people. That's a smarter way to go about it. But at the same time, you look at Ferraris and all these high-end cars, a lot of them are bought by broke people that just take out huge financing plans and kind of get fucked on the loans in the back half, but the car company gets all the money out of them. So you can still sell to poor people by selling the dream of being rich, or you can sell to people who are actually rich. It's actually a little easier that way because you don't need this super high-end branding like Ferrari and all those brands have in order to sell to rich people. You just need to solve their problems. But think, what is the problem you're looking to solve for them? What age range are they? Is this a male or a female problem? Are these bodybuilders or dad bods? Are they fit moms? You want to talk to this avatar. Once you've identified it, typically it's easiest to sell it to an avatar you're familiar with. So, like for me, if I sell to people who are looking at physical therapy or bodybuilding, or they like metal music, or they're trying to level up their business, it's easier for me to sell to that demographic than somebody who's just, it doesn't relate to me at all, you know? Maybe somebody who there's like a woe is me and really needy person. I don't do well with that. Like somebody who's needy, I can't sell to you. I'm not trying to attract that kind of avatar anyway, because I wouldn't work well with them in the first place. So I want people who are motivated also, who have a professional job or have had it, or just want to level the fuck up and get out of that professional job. Like I relate to those people more because I've been there in that situation. Now, you don't have to necessarily serve somebody that you have the exact same experience as, but it just makes it a lot easier if it's something you're passionate about and you've already experienced, because then you can just talk from the heart and you don't have to make anything up. So think, what do you want to be recognized for? Every brand has like their one specific thing that people really key in on. So you think like Greg Doucette, he's got the really annoying parrot voice he does now, over the top exaggerations, and insults his audience playfully. Whereas Mike Israetel does all science-based stuff, all self-deprecating jokes, gay jokes, things like that. Very much tongue-in-cheek, but still has a science aspect, so it makes it a little more entertaining than, say, like a Jeff Nippard, who's just soft-spoken and very sterile, doesn't really add anything besides the high production value to it. But that for him sells well because he was one of the first ones to start doing it on YouTube. I think him and Athlean X are kind of exceptions to the rule because they started so early that nobody else was doing what they were doing at the time. Now you kind of have this saturation of exercise guys. So if you're just showing exercises over and over, everybody's already seen these videos. So you're not really going to attract the same crowd that they did. And then I think Wes Watson, once again, we talked about him, but the fake alpha tough guy, faking all the jail stories, making himself seem super hardcore and better than you, talking down on you. When somebody sees a Wes Watson clip, they know he's going to be running his mouth and bragging, right? Same thing with Andrew Tate or any of these alpha male influencers. So the most important thing you can draw from this entire slide here is you want to choose your niche and go fishing in your own pond. So when thinking about that avatar, the age range, the pain points, try to have that kind of cross-reference into a niche that interests you. So I know Adam, one of our guys in Discord, he's big into rock climbing. So he's doing rock climbing, like the first guy really on the internet that I've ever seen doing rock climbing on PEDs and seeing how each PED helps his performance or hinders it. I mean, there's nothing out there like that. So that community, he's going to be able to serve that very specific community. Sure, there might only be 15,000 people out there doing it. Just throwing a number out. There's probably more than that. But 15,000 climbers on PEDs. So when those 15,000 find his channel, what are they going to go to? They're going to buy from him. He's the only guy who has experience doing it. So he can charge whatever he wants for as long as he wants, and nobody has anywhere else to go. He's cornered that market. So if you can find a niche that you can serve better than anybody else in that niche, you can serve your little pond of fish and make a ton of fucking money off that pond before having to expand to the ocean. So in the power of showing yourself when it comes to content creation, you do want to make a human connection through visual and spoken storytelling. So any visual and audio things you can put together to really tell the story. And this is where it helps having an editor sometimes too, because a really good editor can kind of tie this all together for you with the visuals. But at the same time, you should be able to edit on your own also and be able to make the connections and storytell without having to have an editor. It's just very nice if you have one. It's an option, but not a necessity. But you want to be able to craft your story with an emotional appeal and brand consistency. Show where you started, when you were an underdog, and where you are now. Like, people love that shit when they see somebody start out as an underdog. It's very true. I remember Alex Hormozy saying that, everybody will root for you when you're the underdog, but they don't want to see you get better than them. So anytime somebody sees you above them, they almost get into attack mode out of jealousy. Now, you're really high level people, they don't act like that, and that's what rich people do. Like, people that are actually really good at business, they aspire to be that person. They want to network with the people above them and learn from them. Like, that's the smart way to do it, but your average person you're selling to doesn't think that way. It's very much dog eat dog, like, oh, this guy's above me, fuck this guy. Like, they don't want to root for that. They don't want to root for the LA Dodgers because they're stacked. They want to root for the underdog. They want to root for the Tampa Bay Rays that had no money and no prospects to go win the World Series. So try to paint yourself as the underdog, especially to start with. Like, tell your story, tell where you started, show all of your struggles. Even as you get bigger, go back and show your struggles. Like, save those screenshots and really paint the picture of, hey, I was you once. Like, I was you guys before. Like, I only had 200 followers a year and a half ago, and now I got like 6,000 on Instagram and like another 3 or 4 on YouTube. So 10,000 followers like total. I didn't even think it was possible. I was like, dude, I was stuck at 200. Nobody looked at my posts. So I can kind of show people like, hey, I started there too, and make it more relatable to those people starting than somebody who's starting at 1 million and the only people they have to talk to are people with 5 million, you know? So think that people really don't like being talked down to either, except for the black pill crowd. So, you know, the alpha male, like incel crowd, they enjoy that. If you're selling to that market, understandable, but that's a very, very specific market and it's going to push everybody else away. So it's a niche. It does work. It is getting kind of saturated with all the fake alpha male dudes lately. So I don't know how long that's going to last. I feel like there's going to be a pendulum swing the other way at some point. We're kind of on the back end of that. Andrew Tate was a couple years ago, and he started that. But think like Sam Sulek and the Trend Twins. They are just average dudes. They don't claim to be experts. They want to show you what works for them and have fun doing it. And that's all they do. And people relate to that. That's why those guys have like 20, 30 million followers combined if you combine all their platforms together. They're just relatable dudes doing what they enjoy. This helps build a relationship with the audience because they can relate to you. And another way to think about it too, think of the simps on OnlyFans. They think that they're messaging the girl when they go in the DMs, really is their manager usually. But because they build that relationship, messaging back and forth, anytime the girl posts a photo and gives them like, hey, here's this $50 package of me showing my butthole, they'll pay it on the spot because they feel like they have that relationship. And it kind of fills that void where a lot of people are kind of lonely online. They don't have those strong relationships with somebody. So when an offer comes along with somebody they feel like they have a relationship with, they're more than willing to buy. I know it's a little bit of a crude example, but it is like the extreme example. They play into the emotions so well. Anything they put out, they're going to buy. And they make an absolute fucking killing off it. So why aren't you going to do the same thing with your content that's less explicit? Now let's get into long versus short form content. Think pros for long form. You have very high loyalty, bigger ad revenue payouts, better retention, a better community really, and easier conversions into sales because they're spending that much more time with you. In a long form video, you're spending 8 to like 30 or 40 minutes with this person, listening to them, learning about them versus a short that might be 30 seconds to 90 seconds. So you establish a brand and these people go back and watch your videos over and over and over again. So there's very much this evergreen effect on YouTube versus your short form where stuff's gone in like 2 days unless it goes viral. I have videos on my platform right now that are over a year old that are getting views out of the blue. Like, I don't know why. I think the Sam Sulek one, because he went pro, now that was getting some views out of the blue. And I haven't touched that video in years at this point. So think about that when you make those videos. Don't date them time-wise as much if you can. Try to build them in an evergreen form where people can look back years later and still get value out of them. Now, what's also nice about long form, you can repurpose these easily into short form content. You can either self-edit or use AI to break it up, and you can drive traffic with these shorts. What we'll get into later is quantity versus quality. This is great for the quantity aspect because you can take one video, break it up into 5 shorts, and have a post for every day of the week leading up into the weekend, and then make your next video. Same thing over and over. Podcast form is amazing for this. So if you do an hour podcast with somebody, you plug that into Opus Clips or Nexus Clips, one of the AI programs that chops it up for you into a short. Make a couple tweaks, blast it out there. An hour-long video, you might have 10 to 12 clips you can use. So you have over a week of shorts just to post over and over again, drive more traffic to your other channels. And then you can also post it on YouTube Shorts to drive more traffic to the big video that's linked in there as the podcast. So you just want to value stack and just stack up more and more ways to post for as little effort as you can in terms of like making the same content. You want to put effort in that first initial video, but if you can take that one really good video and repurpose it 10, 15 times all over the web, why not? You're just increasing your exposure and people getting eyeballs on you. Now, what are the cons for long form? It's a very high time investment. You typically have slower growth. And you do need skills to be developed over time because if you're doing a long video, there's a lot more things to work on and flesh out in that presentation to make it really connect. Versus something that's 30 seconds, you can go boom, boom, you can say something stupid and it's done and over with, but it's right there and condensed. You think Iago Fit was good. I remember I made a joke about him in one of my videos that he can't hold it together for 30 seconds. He's never last on YouTube. It's something I said in my video. And lo and behold, within 1 week, he was banned on YouTube. Like, he couldn't hold it together. So it's very much a thing that some people don't have that skill to really talk for a long period of time. So everybody can develop that. Like, you just got to get used to looking at the camera, really. But because of that, it does need more planning. So some people heavily script. Like, Colton's a big time scripter. It's everything out. Me, I fly by the seat of my pants better. If I just like see one word, I know what I'm talking about, I can just go off for 5 or 10 minutes. If I look at the screen, I actually screw up more because I'm like reading off the screen and I'm thinking, how can I make this more interesting? And then I kind of like trip myself up if I'm doing too much scripting. I actually don't do well with that. So you have to kind of find your style too. So the more videos you do, the more you're going to find that style also. So it is important to post consistently so you get used to that. Now, in terms of repurposing the long form, they're not always as engaging as handcrafted shorts either. So like for me personally, my cycle review ones typically convert pretty well because it's very much like, here's the cycle review, I'm talking about it, here's the score, boom. Now if I do a longer story on, you know, Nate Udi or Iago or somebody like that, you're getting part of the story but not the full context. A lot of times it doesn't translate as well into short form, but it does good to drive a few thousand eyeballs to me every time I post them. But they're not going to go off for, you know, 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 views like some of my other stuff that fits that narrow niche a little bit better, you know. But at the same time, it's still worth posting just to drive traffic and it's minimal effort. Now, pros for short term, you can make these videos much faster at a much higher volume because you think you're making, instead of a 10-minute video on its own, now you can make 20, 30-second videos in the same amount of time to film one long form. So your effort can be a little bit lower. You do have to sometimes edit a little more, but there's a lot of AI programs that do all the chopping up and captions and B-roll for you. So it's really just a couple clicks if you know how to do it right. These are easier to go viral with, but they typically require quite a few duds before hitting that one big fish. So there's a lot of times if you're doing dedicated short form, you're going to have some shitty performing ones and you're just kind of throwing, seeing what sticks. And eventually you'll hit one that does blow up, but the problem with it doesn't convert as well. So unless it really blows up, it'll disappear in a few days. But the audience retention is also lower and there's less relationship built. So because of that, there's less of a sales conversion because people just get that tiny bite-sized exposure to you. Now, what I've noticed on my sales calls lately is a lot of people tend to binge watch these if you have a consistent flow. So for me, like the cycle reviews, they see the thing at the top, they know it's a cycle review, and they go on my profile and they click on all those ones because they like those. So if you had that consistent branding, like where they know this is the form of video that's going to be on there, they'll click on that one. So having that kind of a consistent flow with whatever series or type of video you're doing does help some with this. But the other downside of short form, it does tend to breed a little more hate mail. So, you know, because you're typically doing more shocking stuff to try to catch their attention in the first 5 seconds. Otherwise, they just swipe by into the next one, you know. So you really, really got to pay attention on trying to get their eyeballs on that. Whereas long form, they can see the topic, the title, the thumbnail. They might watch for, you know, 2 minutes or so before they decide if they want to stay or not. Short form, it's you got 5 seconds and they're just swiping through. So hit that. Sometimes it's 3 seconds. So you really want to catch their attention with either a visual hook or something you say that pulls them in right away. Now, where people fail is mindset, honestly. This is like the biggest pitfall with content creation. A lot of people get discouraged based on how they start or can't stick to a consistent schedule, and that leads to them falling off and they never make the money they want to make with content. Now, as we talked about before, content is amazing because it's basically free advertising. Like, you're only paying your time, or maybe an editor if you use an editor, but you're not pumping. Some of these companies literally spend $20,000 a day on ads to get traffic in. You can do this for free instead of $20,000 every day on ads. So think of the power of that and actually apply yourself to it in order to make this happen. Remember, videos made for everybody are made for no one unless you have Mr. Beast's budget, which we don't have here. Someone like him, he can spend $2 to $3 million on one video, and that's fine. Make it for everybody. Make it super engaging. He has teams of psychologists and everything else to make that video as engaging as possible for the widest group of people. And he might spend $2 million but make $5 million off the video. So for him, it makes sense. We don't have that kind of budget to do that. So try to find something within your niche that you can sell to and that will coincide well with whatever your topics and your avatar is. So think about that person you want to provide value to and down the road make an ask for. So be consistent with your creation and your messaging. For every one hate comment, there's 3 to 5 people liking in silence. So don't pay attention to just your comments. You'll notice this a lot if you get an appointment setter in your DMs, which is, we'll talk about that way down the line with the business course. If you start reading through some of those messages, you'll be surprised how many people open up. Like if you ask them like, hey, do you like my stuff? They're like, oh my God, dude, I love your stuff. Like, I'm so ready to like, if you have openings, let me know. I'll work with you right now. And like, if you never messaged them, you would never know that. Because about 60-70% of your audience is silent. They don't comment. They just watch your stuff and enjoy it, but they don't make an actual like effort to like let you know whether or not that's because they're just not that kind of person. Or some people get nervous. Like I've been on sales calls before, like with people that are my followers, and the guy's like, oh my God, it's you in the flesh. And I'm like, I'm just a dude in the guest bedroom. Like it's nothing crazy. They get like starstruck, and I don't have a huge following, but somebody like Mikey from the Trend Twins, I don't know if you saw their post at the Olympia. They had people out the door waiting to see them, like out, like fucking like 50,000 people were there wanting to see them. It's just crazy how people love you that much that you've never met before. So you want to establish those connections, and you want to think about those silent majority that you're serving, and ignore the hate comments, or what you can do with the hate comments too is kind of play into them a little bit, lean into it, don't get emotional. You can play it off like you're emotional and then really spark it up to try to get that algorithm to push you higher because of the engagement, but just be careful about making the wrong move there. And at the end of the day, as long as that one person buys from you out of like that silent majority, you're still in the green. So just think about those people and don't focus on the virality, because virality doesn't mean shit at the end of the day. Alex Hormozi always has this great story that he tells, that he picked up this person as like a student, and they only had 5,000 followers. So he's like, okay, whatever. And then she started showing him all the sales figures, and she was doing $5 million a year. He's like, how the hell are you doing $5 million a year with only 5,000 followers? She found a very specific niche with, I think it was chiropractors and medical billing, that nobody else was serving. And she was just teaching them how to bill better to make more money. So they were just throwing 50 grand at her to fix their billing process, because at the end of the year, it would save them $100,000 or $200,000. So for them, it was a bargain. Raking it in with barely any following, but those 5,000 followers were exactly who she wanted to sell to, and they all ate up all of her shit, and they will rebuy from her over and over and over again, no matter what she puts out, because she provides that much value to their business. So think about that. You can have 1 million followers, and 1 million followers is usually better than 100, but if they're not an engaged 1 million, then it's not serving you as much. Yes, you have more social proof. It makes it easier when you make an offer if you have 1 million. But if you have 100 rabid fans that are super engaged, that want to buy from you, you can 100x your business like that, selling to them, versus having to comb through 1 million followers and try to find out who's interested in buying your shit. So when you're making your content, think about making that viral to your avatar. So the people that you want in your community, that you want to associate with, that build your brand stronger or buy from you, that perfect person, make your content for that person. Don't worry about all the other people like running their mouths. Like me, I'm not trying to sell to the blue-haired like freak that hates fitness people. Like that doesn't do me any good. If anything, they're just going to argue with all my fans and then cause more problems. So don't even worry about those people. They don't matter. Like, sure, they can like your video, but at the end of the day, they're never going to be part of your community anyway, so who cares? And we see this a lot in video games. Think of the game Concord. They tried to make that a shooter for everybody and make it super sterile and like very accepting pronouns, blah, blah, blah. And absolutely nobody bought it. It was such a big flop, they actually removed the game and refunded everybody after 8 years of development, which is crazy. They would have been way better at leaning into either that SJW shit or going super hardcore, bloody, gory, and like throwing insults all over the place. Those games sell. The sterile middle ground doesn't sell. Nobody cares about it. It's just too empty. Like they want to feel something. So when you're making your content, try to make people feel something. Sell to that avatar. So you want your videos to hit 2 to 3 times of your following. That would be viral for you. So if you have 5,000 followers, you want your video to hit 10,000 or 15,000 views. because that means YouTube or Instagram is pushing it out to the audience that matters to you. Sure, higher view numbers are always better. Like at the end of the day, if you're getting more and more eyeballs, there's more and more chances you hit the people you want to hit. But if you can have a targeted campaign that hits the exact people you want, that's more valuable than a widespread campaign that hits a bunch of people you don't care about too. And another way to think about it is if you hit 500 CEOs with a piece of content and one of them buys for $10,000, is that more valuable than 100,000 TikTok kids that see your thing and are entertained and 0 of them have money? I'd rather make this $10,000 than 0. I don't know about you guys. So you really have to buckle down with your mindset though, because things will be very slow in the beginning, especially long form. You can leverage social hacking a little bit, which is something we'll get into later down the line. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but I want to keep this focused and then go into those things in very specific detail to really explain what I mean. But the social hacking you can do is mentioning other creators, and that will get you a little more traction too, because you're building off of their following, getting them to respond. And that can expedite things a little bit as long as you get some of that going on. I want to try to get 1% in every video, every day, and by the end of the year, you'll grow 30 to 40% easily. You think 1% better every day times 365, you're going to be, maybe 300% better, but typically you're going to be at least 30% better than you were day one. And that's what you want. The S&P 500, you want to grow 30%. The S&P only grows 8%. If you can increase your earnings potential by 30%, that's better than just buying stocks and holding it and praying that it goes up 8%. If you invest in yourself, you can double, triple, quadruple your business in 1 year. You just need to invest in the skills and make sure you post the content, get better at it, get some traction, get a following, and grow your audience from there. If you don't start now, you're never going to achieve it. Straight up. Mindset wise, you want to achieve something, you have to actually start. And you have to do it consistently. Because if you're not going to do it consistently, somebody else is. And as we've shown in the case studies before, all the big YouTubers, they don't have less than 100 videos. They didn't blow up on their 5th video. Alex Eubank blew up on his 1,000th video. Greg Doucette blew up somewhere in the thousands, and he's got 2,000, 3,000 more than that. It takes time. So don't get discouraged just because your first 5 videos get 10 views. You can social hack a little bit, mention people, get responses, try to use bigger names to get more eyeballs on there, but you're not going to get over 100 views on your first couple videos. You just have to accept it. Unless you're the first to a very specific story, but after that, you still don't have a hardcore audience because they're going to look at your profile and see you only have 2 videos and there's nothing else for them to watch. So realize it does take time to build that platform, but once it's there, it is the strongest thing you can build. In terms of the game plan, you need to start posting daily, at least 1 post per day minimum. I personally have seen the best growth from 2 to 5 times per day. So me repurposing all my old YouTube videos and my shorts, so I was hitting 2 times a day, grew me faster than anything else. I've started to do now myself personally, since I'm making quite a bit of money. I've dialed that down a little bit to 1 time a day, maybe 2 times, but then I'm boosting some other posts that perform really well. So spending money essentially on ads to kind of compensate that, to save me a little bit of time, because I'm using the time to build other things like the school. So Colton talked to a YouTube rep, and the number one thing he told him is that frequency trumps all. He said, you could post 3 times a day on YouTube, you go faster than anybody. Now, most people can't afford that much editing or don't have that much time to film and edit that many videos every single day. I mean, if you did, you'd be a damn superhuman. I remember when Derek from More Plates, More Dates was doing his push to 1 million followers, he was posting twice a day, and he got absolutely burned out doing it. So, I mean, it's possible to do 2. 3 times you would need some really good editing and a good team for scripting too. But that doesn't mean just throw out slop either. You want the quality to still be there. You want to actually address your avatar. You want to provide some kind of value in each post. Even just a little bit of value goes a long way. So, sure, make 2 or 3 posts. Maybe they're just small value gives, but that helps spread things out a little bit and gives you more virality than having to sit there and be a perfectionist over 1 post, only put out 1 each day when you know 3 is going to perform better in the long run. So just go ahead and put the content out. It builds a bigger brand. And then when you go to sell, there's more stuff for people to watch too. So not only just posting though, you want to post on your story. You want to do short form, long form, and pictures, and then reuse them across all platforms, because A business that's reliant all on one website is one that's bound to fail at some point. So if you only sell to your Instagram audience, or you only have YouTube, only have TikTok, we just saw this a month ago. People that only had TikTok lost their entire business for a weekend because TikTok got shut down. Kind of learned now, hey, I need to diversify and start taking that content and posting it elsewhere in order to not leave myself completely underwater and go from $50,000 a month to zero out of the blue. So something else to think about is repurposing and just using those same clips across the board. It only takes you another minute to post it somewhere else, or some programs do it for you. Don't skimp out on this just because you're being a lazy fuck. Consistency is key. So if you can hit 3 times daily or even 1 time daily, have a consistent schedule. Streamers do this on Twitch. They have a schedule they put out there. They don't stream every day. A lot of them don't. Some people do. But typically, they put the schedule out. People know when they're going to be on stream. They show up for that stream. Their hardcore fans love seeing them and talking to them. We do that inside the school. Colton has Thursdays. I have Sundays. Typically, I have some of the same people show up every single week. But you know that schedule is going to be there. So even though we only do a couple streams, they're always engaging experiences and people have questions for us. That's really where 90% of creators fail. They just aren't consistent. They don't stick to it. They just treat it like a hobby and then just stop doing it because they don't hit it big within like a month or two. You need to keep doing it over and over again, and it will pay off in the long run. I've seen it myself. Colton's seen it. Anybody who's posted for a long time can make a living off doing it. Even, Jason Genova and all these other guys who really didn't have any great talent, they were making a living off just posting on YouTube back in the day. If Jason Genova can do it, you can do it. Believe me. I mean, hell, if you're a gaming fan, Wings of Redemption, a fat guy that sits there and plays video games and rages all day, he hasn't worked a single day in his life. He just sits at home and plays video games and yells at the screen. And he makes enough money to survive on it. So if he can do it, literally any one of you can. But you do want to prime your profile for this. So if you kind of look at my Instagram here, you can see that I help professionals build killer physiques. DM me Jack to start. Now, the DM part I just added probably 2 weeks ago, and it blows my mind how many DMs I've gotten to say jacked. I have had 3 self-books that have all converted into clients just by putting that there. So a lot of people won't click on your link to book a call, but they'll DM you the keyword because it's quicker to do. And from there, you can then convert them to a client. And when you're selling your programs for $2,000-$3,000, you're talking $6,000 to $9,000 right there, just from having that keyword in there. So I think it's worth it. It only takes you a second to type it out. Go ahead and fucking do it. I have this line right here too to separate and kind of draw attention to the links. I now have the Skool link there too, but try to keep this to 1 or 2 links so that way they can easily book for you. Since putting the Skool in there, I had one guy not be able to figure it out, and I had to message him and fix it myself. So I would like to be down to 1, but right now I'm actually slowing down a little bit on acquiring clients and trying to focus more on the Skool for you guys. But you want your profile to be something like this. Tell them what you do, who you serve. So I help professionals build killer physiques. So they see this, they know, hey, I'm a professional. I make $100,000, but I'm kind of like chubby and I don't really know what to do. I don't have time for that. Like, I got a wife and kids, and for them, paying you is going to provide a lot more value than them wasting the time and having to learn how to do it all themselves. They can go waste 50 hours doing research and then try to figure out their macros and all that, or they'll just pay a coach to do it, and they know they're going to get the guaranteed results within a few weeks. So for them, it makes a lot of sense just to DM me jacked or book a call, and boom, we're in like that. So whatever your avatar is, have that as the first line in there and tell them how you serve them. But you need to condense it down into a very small, like 1 line, maybe 5-word sentence there. So it's very direct to them. And then have a keyword to tell them what to do, a call to action. And then below that, also have your links, so that way they can self-book if they want. So you want to set this up with each piece of social media if you can, where you have your avatar being called out, a keyword to make them take action. Now, YouTube's a little different because you want like the banner and the consistency there. But YouTube, you still should have your links to your sales page or like your Instagram, whatever your main sales hub is. So for me, it's Instagram. So Instagram's my first link. On that, DM me jacked, and then we get going. Game plan continued. So as I said, you want to set up each of your profiles to call your avatar like that. And take inspiration from big creators, but don't copy them exactly. So Take note of their speaking styles or content format. What visual and audio hooks do they use to draw in viewers? Use those for you, but don't rip off their brand exactly, because if you're just copycatting, everybody kind of has seen that before. So you're not going to draw on the audience that you want. You're just going to compete against them, and they have a way bigger following than you, and they're going to get the sales. You're not. But that doesn't mean you can't take what they're doing well, apply it to yourself, and then apply that to your niche and your avatar. So in Adam's case, he can apply, some of my visual hooks that I have with my cycle reviews. He can apply how Colton does his, all chained out alpha male stuff, or any variety of what another creator does for the hook. Draw them in, or maybe like a really good storyteller, like Ali Abdad or whatever the fuck his name is on YouTube. Very good storyteller. Take that kind of format, see how they do it, steal that format, do it better for your audience. And that's how you make a great channel. You take what people are doing that works, apply it to your niche, and make it better for your people, so you provide them more value. Also, look at how some small creators tend to build their brand too. So Scientific Snitch, she's got a very know-it-all, like this is what it is, straight to the point attitude. It does put off a lot of people, but her fans are super hardcore fans. You go in her comment section, they all defend her to the death. So she does very well at selling to her people that love her stuff, and everybody else gets put off by it. And that's kind of what you want. If you repel away the people you don't want in there in the first place, then it just makes it easier for you to do business in the back end, because you're going to find that exact avatar you want, and you kind of spit out all the junk that isn't going to buy from you, or they're just going to kick tires, or they don't trust you anyway. So those kind of people, you're better off just putting them back into the wheel. Maybe they watch enough content and they build some trust up, but they're not ready to buy anyway if they're trying to book and they're not one of your hardcore fans. And when it comes to actually selling, don't even try to sell to start with. You want to give 10 times before you ask. So you want to build the audience, give them 10 times the value, and then after that, ask. But if you look at channels like Alpha M, his channel is absolutely dog shit. He used to be one of the big like alpha male YouTubers, like with fragrances and how to talk to women and stuff. And now every single one of his videos is like 6 minutes long, and there's 3 sales pitches in there. So I don't even see his videos anymore. Every now and then it's funny, I'll look it up to see how bad his channel's gotten, but it's like buried in the algorithm. You can't even find it. He has other businesses he works on more now, but stuff like that does not work very well. It works for him because he has a high follow count already. But if you don't already have that high follow count, it's not going to improve your virality or your ability to sell to your crowd. People get turned off by that. You hear how many people hate Greg just saying cockbuck every 4 minutes in his videos. It drives people nuts. Like, now his hardcore fans don't really care as much, or like really gen pop people might not. But anybody else who has any bit of knowledge in bodybuilding or fitness gets completely turned off by it. So it's going to be kind of abrasive and probably hurt your brand overall if you start doing that. And I wouldn't recommend it unless you hit a certain level where your following is so huge, it doesn't matter what you do, they're still going to follow you. At that point, Greg has like 3 million followers, so he can get away with it. If I started doing it, half my followers would drop off. And then because those people aren't engaging, when YouTube goes to show my avatars, my avatars already hate me, so they're gone. Think about that. And you do want to be sensational. So you want to draw eyeballs in whatever way works best for you and seems natural. Or if you have a character you're playing and you can stick to it, do it. So Dr. Disrespect, he was sensational by putting the sunglasses on and the mustache and acting like an alpha male on screen, right? So think Greg Doucette does the over-the-top stuff. But also Sam Sulik and the Trend Twins, they're also sensational in their own way. Sam, it's not the filming style and it's not the content necessarily, but it's rather his physique. So, because his physique is so phenomenal, people are drawn into it. They're sensationalized, like, holy crap, this kid's big as fuck. And he's not, like, self-centered, and he's not, like, doing all these edits and everything. It was different. It's something they hadn't seen before. So it drew everybody right to him because he was doing something so much different than everybody else with a physique that just popped off the screen. So that's kind of what we're teaching from this side on the Ascendancy Collective too. We want to build your physique to allow you to do what Sam, able to use your content plus your physique to really be able to pull in an audience. And having both of those in play is just going to open up options for you when you go to build your brand anyway. So if you have a sick physique and you're entertaining, you're way more likely to find the right people than if you have only one or the other. Also think about what makes a video clickable. So the first 5 seconds of a short to draw them in right away. In terms of long form, good thumbnail and title, they're going to be more sensational and draw in the eyeballs. Really have to be good at that in order to have success and retain people. Get that initial impression, draw them in, give them a good hook, and keep them on the hook until you're ready to finish the story. On a broader scale, think of what is the best sensationalized machine out there. The news. Especially since about 2016. All the news does now is put really polarizing, sensational stuff out, and they rake in billions off just telling a story, but they change the language around, they change the presentation around. You watch CNN versus Fox, they report the same thing, but they twist it around to incite one audience and piss off the other. And that sensationalism creates a lot of animosity between themselves, and it creates more eyeballs on their product, which then is attractive to advertisers, because advertisers can come in and they make twice as much money because everybody's arguing about it, and they can start showing commercials in between everything. So you want to be on one end or the other, or even if you toe the line, you want to throw some jabs here and there to really sensationalize things and get bigger reactions. Now, in terms of quality versus quantity, at the start, quantity is king by far. Before, Colton did a consultation with a YouTube employee, and they straight up said 3 times a day posting would make you grow faster than anything else, honestly. Because you get more impressions, more people clicking on your shit, and then YouTube learns faster in the algorithm how to push your content out to the right people. But if you're obsessed over quality, you'll just get analysis paralysis and never actually achieve what you want to, because you take way too long on projects. As we've seen, we have an editor that's amazing, but he's so slow that a lot of times I have to give my videos to other people, and it kind of disappoints me because I'm like, man, I really want to use him, but he over analyzes everything and takes too long, so I can't give him as much business as I would like to. And the same thing happens when we're creating content. If you take too damn long to make the video, a lot of times that news cycle's passed, or you missed the shot to really put that out there while the topic was hot, striking where the iron's hot, you know? There is some exceptions from really, really, really high quality videos, but that's typically in education and finance, which we're not doing a whole ton of. Like, if you find a new stock that's blowing up and make a sick presentation on it and convince people to go buy it before it's a rug pull, you make a lot of money on that. Or if there's some new scientific topic that comes out and you make a super sick stylized videos and you pay $5,000 for the editing and it's better than everybody else's, I could see that happening too. But at the end of the day, 99% of the time, the quantity matters more than the quality at the start. I mean, have you ever seen anybody go viral after one post? I haven't. I don't know if there is one. And a good case on this is the Jesse James West case study. I'm going to leave that one for Colton. He's more of an expert on Jesse James. I don't watch a ton of his stuff, but that'll be in the next section, so look out for that video. Once the audience is established and lead and cash flow and leads are coming in, then worry about upgrades. Once you have a money flowing process, then you can worry about upgrades. But those first few months, you're not going to make any ads. As we said, give. And then when your audience is ready for you to ask for money and they're ready to pay, that's when you take that one big ask. So think, you can make a huge audience with next to no production value. Sam Sulek did everything on his phone and didn't edit anything, like absolutely nothing. Paul Burnett edits absolutely nothing. And those guys have hardcore audiences they can sell to nonstop. Trent Twins, they have some fancier equipment now, but even the beginning of theirs is pretty big. So you need that relatable content first before hiring a team or investing in better equipment. You can do that. I just think you're way better off investing in improving your content, improving your editing with an editor, or boosting your posts that are performing well so you get more and more eyeballs on you versus worrying about, well, this camera looks better in 1440 and then, oh, this one's 4K. Most people don't even watch videos in 4K, so who gives a fuck? Honestly. A lot of people still watch in 1080, to be honest, and the visual doesn't matter as much. Like, the pixels on the screen aren't going to sell your product. You are. So focus on improving you. Invest in yourself over the next best camera, that $4,000 camera. Spend that on yourself, learning more, improving your content, maybe boosting posts to get more eyeballs on you to get more people in your community. Then worry about that when your community is big enough that you're making consistent cash flow. So, as Alex Hormozi has always said, invest in the S&Me 500 over stocks or some other piece of equipment. Because if you practice what you preach, you invest in yourself, your channel grows, people will get a sense of knowing that you have conviction in your values and they're part of that community because you're investing in the community. By improving yourself, you're giving them more value. By giving them more value, they feel more of a sense of community, and they know you have more conviction in your values that you're preaching because you are investing in yourself, not just saying it and then going and blowing coke like Togi and playing gambling games all night. So that does matter. Even though it doesn't seem like it does, people have a good radar. They're good at sniffing out when people are full of shit. And if you actually do invest back into yourself, they will know it because they will see the constant upgrades to the value you provide them. Now, how long should this quantity phase be? YouTube, that is the first 100 videos, which sounds like a huge amount, and it is. It's probably going to take you about a year to hit 100 videos if you post consistently, 3 times a week, if you can. Well, 2 to 3 times a week. But don't be afraid to try new things, see what converts and what people interact with the most. Like, as I've found out lately myself, I convert higher when I pay my thumbnail guy to make my thumbnails. So I've been doing that every time now. It's not the most fun thing to pay for, but it converts better. I have more people get eyeballs on my videos and engage with them just because the impressions are better. So that's a cost I'm willing to eat to make the channel better. Just go ahead and find out what works and converts and double, triple, quadruple down on that. Now, in terms of short form, IG, TikTok, Facebook, I'd say your first 300 posts or videos. So a much larger amount because it's such short form, doesn't take as long to do. And there's so many more different things you can do too to see what works there. But once again, once the algorithm picks up something for views and you have an idea of how that performs, double down on that format. If it's how you change the hook, how you worded something at the very beginning and it seemed to pop off, go ahead and word it that way again. If you're like, oh my God, this was so majestic. Majestic seemed to be a word that worked. Start your next post off with it. Oh, the most majestic pony I've seen. I don't know, whatever. So try to double down on that and, play off that. Obviously, don't copy and paste it exactly, but go ahead and try that. And actually, you can copy and paste a little bit. So something they don't tell you, if you have a post that performs well, and a couple months later you want to repost that, there's no penalty for doing that. I found that out watching something with the guy who runs Instagram. And he said there's no penalty for that. If it is viral, like it's doing well, like go ahead and do it. Obviously, they'll pick up on it if you do it too many times. But if you had a post that did 100K, go ahead and repost it. It might only get 50K again, but that's 50K more people that saw it. So you can do that. If you get a post that performs well, repurpose it again later down the line. Get more eyeballs on it now that you've grown your followers. You posted something at 100 followers that did well, post it again when you're at 5,000 and see how much more it blows up after that point. And, this is your greatest learning tool. So posting to live audiences and having the people that you want to sell your product to be able to tell you exactly what to do is like the greatest tool on how to improve your process and your process. Example in the last video, and think of those businesses that pay $8 million for a Super Bowl ad and all the split testing and community testing they do before they launch the ad to make sure it hits. They spend millions just testing the ad. We can do it for free. You just got to keep pushing it out and seeing what works best. You can split test, A/B test, and see how things work with different hooks. It could be the same topic, and you just repurpose it 3 different ways. Maybe you post it differently on TikTok versus Instagram and see what works. So you're going to have a live audience telling you exactly what they want to consume and how they want to buy from you. So instead of blowing it off or being like, oh, well, these people just don't understand what I'm trying to say. No, they understand. They're telling you that fucking sucked. You need to improve it. Once you realize that and you actually apply yourself, you're going to grow like crazy. So don't half-ass this. Mistakes and failures are amazing too, because if you fail, then you know not to do that again. And it just helps you tweak the process even faster. If you're getting dumb luck on a couple things that hit because it's a popular topic or something, you don't learn as much from that. Me with my Wes Watson video, I didn't learn much from that other than just inciting the people in the comments. But it wasn't my typical content anyway. I was just one of the first ones to grab John Bravo's video and repost it to Instagram because he'd only posted it to YouTube. It absolutely blew up, and I tagged John in it, and him and I were laughing about it in the DMs. But honestly, it didn't really provide me as much feedback as a lot of the posts I made that sucked, that didn't do well. I was like, oh man, I got to change my lighting. I got to change this and that. When I use my webcam up here, it's the Razer Q, and actually, it's funny, Colton's the one who told me to get it because he's like, oh yeah, it's got really sharp visuals for shorts. And I got it, and the lighting in my room, how it reflects off and everything, it always comes out fuzzy. Like, it doesn't come out in HD. So I'm like, fuck, dude. So I bought it and it didn't work. And you know what was better? You know what worked better for me? Using my damn phone. That's what I used for all my early videos. So I went back to using my phone that I already bought it. I got it for free. Upgrade. So the thing I got for free worked better than the thing I bought. But I only learned that because I bought the more expensive thing and I tried to make it work and then realized it wasn't the best thing in the world. Maybe I just go back to what I was doing before. And if I didn't make that mistake, I probably would have been thinking in the future, maybe I want to buy some super expensive camera and then realize it doesn't even make a difference. So learn from your failures. But once you do know what does work, triple down on that content, produce it 3 times as regularly, using each tool that every platform gives you to boost your content higher. So, as we talked about, posting regularly, a ton of quantity, and if one is absolutely blowing up, feel free to spend a few bucks to boost that sucker. So, if I get, say, 5 new clients coaching-wise, that's typically 12, 13 grand, something like that. I'm totally fine with spending like even a third of that, boosting the hell out of a post that's doing super well, because it's going to bring me the next 5 customers. So you take the spend from one customer, you apply that to the next 5, and then those 5 give you the money for the next 10, the next 20. That's how you scale your business up and make so much damn money you can't even keep up with the client flow. And then you have to hire an assistant coach underneath you to help just keep up with all the clients and how much money you're making. So think about it. That's how we scale. That's how we want to do things for content. You want to scale your content also. When you find what works, triple down on that. Because easy times are times of growth. If things are going easy and things are just hitting, that's when you want to triple down on what's hitting and explode your growth versus that upward hill climb when you're trying to figure things out. So as a daily checklist for success, I want you guys to do this every single day. This is one of the things you're going to have to do to graduate from this course. You're going to post one piece of content across all platforms every single day from here on out. We will monitor this. I will not pass you unless you actually do this. So it could be very simple, just a short talking about something Mike Israel said or something Nick Trigilli said. It's easy enough to sequence their post, do something like that. You want to comment on one relevant news story to increase virality. So whether it be in the comments and you're a check mark, so you show up at the top. I've done that before on like Lane Norton and Israel stuff. If I'm the first one to see it, they just posted it. I comment something smartass, and I get like 800 likes on it, and my name's right there, and people follow me based on it. It's a good way to go viral. Now, to take that one step further, if it's something you think will be good for your audience, use the sequence on Instagram or the stitch on TikTok, and then have the video play, and then comment on it afterwards. You can also post it to your story to get a little more value. So you want to turn your doom scrolling into content scrolling. Whenever you see an interesting post that catches your eye, save it. So there's a little bookmark on Instagram to the right. You save that post. Then you can repurpose it later if you want, or just watch how they structured that video that caught your attention and steal that. Steal how they got the hook or the title to get you drawn in and how they kept your attention. Make a note of why that worked to draw you in versus everything else you were doom scrolling past. And steal it. Do it yourself. You want to cover the things that happen in your life, in your business that are relatable, your client stories, your personal interactions, the I wish I knew this before, or steal XYZ. Those posts do very well. So it'd be like, I wish I knew to reach out to my followers in the DMs when I had 200 followers because it established better connections. It's just a weird example. Steal this cycle design. You start out with that and people are like, ooh, all right, what cycle is it? Why do I have to steal it? What is it? Easy little hooks like that work to draw some attention, and then from there you can flesh it out and be entertaining. I want you to respond to every single comment and DM you get to build relationships and warm your audience up. Don't even ask for a sale. Just respond to them. Ask what their gym goals are. Ask what their finance goals are. Ask if you're talking to fit moms. Hey, mom, how is the baby today? Doesn't really matter. Just strike up conversation, build a relationship, because people that relate to you and they like your content, they're more likely to show it with their friends too. And the most powerful thing you can have is word of mouth, because it's like, oh, this guy's awesome. Then they tell their friends, and their friends are like, oh, check this guy out. He's awesome. He's cute. I love him. Blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, you got 10 people following you. And what's the likelihood that one of them buys from you down the line? Pretty damn strong. So you want to network and expand your growth. Now, you're going to do all those things every single day. It only takes you maybe 10 minutes to do this. This is absolutely nothing. And what else you're going to do to get to that 3 times a day posting we talked about, you're going to go ahead, you're going to take 1 or 2 pieces of mine and Colton's content we put out. So we post every day. It's not hard to find one of my posts. Like I got 5 billion on there. So just go ahead, take one of ours and use the stitch on it and then comment on it. So I want you to be assertive. You're going to choose the hero or the villain role. So if you want to shit on me, go ahead, shit on me. I know what you're doing. I'm not going to be offended by it. I actually want to see you, because then we can argue back and forth in a fake argument or whatever. And that's just going to increase how many people watch your stuff and jump into the conversation. This is your safety net. Like, we're your coaches. We're here for you. If you do this, there's no repercussions. I mean, if somebody sends you hate mail, just block them. I'm not going to get upset over it. We know it's happening. But this is going to give you such a big boost because you're going to be in our followers too. And, you know, we have similar networks to you, but there might be somebody more inclined to your niche in my followers. Say, if you're a big fisherman, I fucking hate fishing. Like, I don't care. But say you want fishing dads to get fit as your avatar, and you stitch my thing and I respond to it and they see my response. Like, who is this guy? And they go to your profile and say, oh, he gets fishing dads fit. Let me message him. He knows me better. So now you got a new customer just because you argued with me. And I don't care. Like, I told you to argue with me, you know? Or be the hero and agree with it. Either or, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and you're going to do this for mine and Colton's stuff, because we both have different audiences, every single day, along with your one post on somebody else's post or your own. So that gives you 3 pieces of content you can make in 15 minutes. If you can't do that, then you might as well quit right now. Honestly, like, that is so easy. We are giving you these layups. And because you're doing that, we're going to see the notifications, and then we can give you live coaching on how to leverage your audience, and if it was good or bad, or to clean up some presentational stuff. So I want to do this as a springboard for you guys. Because you're using my content, I know about it. I'm not offended, but I can also see it and give you feedback. I'll DM you, or, you know, you can message me on Skool and just ask me, like, hey, how did it look? Did I do this? Did I present this? You know, I can tell you, be more assertive, or use your hands more presentational stuff to draw the audience in. And we can fine tune things. And then by the end of this process, after doing this for a couple weeks, you guys should have a really good idea of how to structure these shorts, or how to respond to people in sequences that really draws a reaction. So I'm going to expect to see these from you guys every single day for the next few weeks. If I don't, and I get wind that you're trying to graduate this content creation course and haven't been even posting any content, then I don't think you're getting one of the A chains, bro. So this is going to be a minimal effort way of getting 3 to 5 pieces of new content daily without even really having to script for it. What that's going to do, because Colton and I are giving you these layups, you can now spend extra time researching and scripting for your long form stuff. Instead of sitting there getting writer's block thinking, I've been here before too, believe me. When you're a small account, you're like, dude, nobody sees me as an authority. What do I post? Do I just post what I ate for breakfast today? Like, no one gives a fuck about your breakfast. It's like, what do I post? Look at mine and Colton's stuff, what we're posting, shit on us, or like agree with us, find that topic, engage in that topic, comment on all of your comments and DMs that come in from it, and then take that extra time that you were thinking about other crap and script a new YouTube video with that. Now you have 3 daily pieces of content, and you should have 2 to 3 YouTube videos per week scripted because you spent that extra time to do that. There, we just saved you time and increased your virality. Don't waste this opportunity. Now, other ideation resources you can get into: Reddit, TikTok keywords, influencer news, think like Greg Doucette's channel, any other drama channel or news channel. Look at them and try to find any news you can comment on, news topics. Thumbnails and titles that seem to be trending. Like right now, the AI kind of looking thumbnails seem to do well. That's what I've noticed. That's why I asked Colton for his creator, and he's making all of ours now too. Questions that client ask in the comments. Like, this is great. The Q&As and what your clients ask, that is the easiest slam dunk, because you have people that love you, that are asking you questions. You answer their question. They're going to repost it to their story because they're like, oh, dude, my favorite creator answered me. I'm going to repost it. Next thing you know, they got 5,000 followers and they all see it. See how that works? That's kind of the social hacking we're talking about. But I do the Q&A every single week. I would advise you do it every week. Just find a topic in your niche and just hammer it home. So Adam can do rock climbing. Me, I do cycle reviews. People submit all them. They all love engaging in it. And then I get more followers every single time I post one of those. And then a lot of those end up booking calls. And then I get on the call and they're like, dude, I love your videos. Like, when can we work together? It makes it easy. So you discuss with your friends are great. Look at influencers inside your niche, and then ask inside your communities what they want to see. Like, I go on our Discord a lot. I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to see for YouTube videos? Like, I haven't thought of anything yet. Like, give me some ideas. And they'll tell you exactly what they want to see. Like, you have people that are part of your audience telling you what they want you to make. Just take that idea, do 30 minutes of research, pump the video out. And then the next morning you wake up, do the 3 clips you're supposed to do per day. And you can schedule. So what's nice about Instagram too, you can schedule them. So I've always scheduled mine. You can schedule up to, I think, 15 days out. So I would put one at 10 a.m. and one at 2 a.m. every day scheduled, and then do some freehand ones in between. So that way you have 2 per day coming out, boom, 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 for the next 2 weeks. And then you can go ahead and fill in the gaps from there. And then you have 3 posts every single day getting pumped out, growing you like absolutely fucking crazy. Just think anything can spur a great idea. Don't let writer's block hit when there's so many resources to turn to. And as I said, I'm going to hammer this home. Colton and I are literally giving you a layup on content creation here. Please go repurpose our stuff and post it so we can give you feedback, because we want you to succeed here. It's not hard. It's just going to take a little bit of learning, just like anything you learn how to do for the first time. I mean, you didn't go pick up a skateboard and look like fucking Tony Hawk right away. Did you know you fell on your ass a few times before you learned how to skateboard? Same thing here. We're going to take the training wheels off, and then you'll be good to go after you get your first 100, 200, 300 posts in, as we talked about. But this is the learning phase. If you can post 3 times a day for 100 days, 3 months, 3 times a day for 3 months. If you can't commit 15 minutes per day for 3 months to something that can make you $300,000, are you going to sit there and tell me you're motivated? Like, no. So I want to see you guys succeed. Please do this. And then, follow along with this however you need to. In the next section, Colton's going to break down the Jesse James West case study to go a little further into this. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you in the next section.